Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. Liftoff.
What is up, guys? Hunter Klein here, bringing you the 100th episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. What a ride it has been. And it's only right that as of recording this, there's a slight drizzle outside, a cloudy cover. It's just a cozy day. It is just a cozy day. There's something about these somewhat gloomy days where it is almost not even a question that you're going to stay inside, be a little extra lazy, relax a bit. You don't have pressure to, I don't know. It feels like a gloomy day. Gloomy weather just removes all of your responsibilities. Something about the weather that just says, hey, chill out today. And I'm really feeling that on this morning. Not to say that any of my activities are actually changing because of the weather, but it feels like a lax day is justified. It feels like it is absolutely justified. Last night, this is a little random, but you know how it is. Last night, it was 1:30 in the morning. Why was I up? I have no idea. For whatever reason, when it gets to 12:30, 1 a.m., the last thing I want to do is go to bed. Because whatever I'm doing at that time, it doesn't matter how boring it may seem, is just infinitely more interesting. Whether it's because I'm sleep deprived, whatever YouTube video, TV show, Twitch stream I'm watching is just 100x more interesting than it would be at 2 p.m. in the evening. And I just can't get to bed. I don't want to miss out on what's next, what's around the corner, what's the next episode have in store. I don't know. I was up. And after I kind of got grasp of reality and took some responsibility and said, hey, I need to get to bed. We have some work to do tomorrow. I could not stop thinking about high school locker decoration. Okay, if you're a male and you had a girlfriend in high school, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a female and you spent 6 hours the couple days before school started to decorate your locker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What an interesting thing. And for whatever reason, it seemed a lot to me like nesting. Why would someone, and particularly females, let's be honest, females were really the only high schoolers that made their locker look very, colorful and designed and homey and welcoming. Why would you put so much time into decorating such a silly little thing? My locker was the juxtaposition between the way my locker functioned and looked compared to my high school girlfriend's locker is hilarious. Okay, I had no extra shelves. I just had all my books thrown randomly at the very bottom. Maybe a sweatshirt thrown in the back that sat there for, 3 months. But then you go over to your girlfriend's locker or a close friend, or you go over to, copy some homework. And you pull open that locker, and it looks like a damn coloring book. It looks like a damn, what do they call it? Where you put a book and you decorate it with photos. A collage. And it's a beautiful thing. And again, it reminded me a lot of nesting. We have males or females in the animal kingdom that have little homes or little nests, little small areas where they collect things and they just decorate it to be welcoming to, other humans, other mammals similar to them. I don't know if I'm overthinking this, but I don't know why I went on this tangent last night. It was just an absolutely incredible thing. And for the first time in my life, I appreciate the amount of hard work that the females at my high school put into their lockers. And I thought back to the fact that, my locker was absolutely barren. I didn't care how it looked. I didn't care what people thought when they came up. And that behavior, that pattern still persists today. Guys, my house, my apartments over the last 3-4 years are insanely bland. There is not a single goddamn thing on my wall other than a TV and a couple shelves. Now, I put some plants to try to make it a little homey, but there's 2 plants. I mean, it just doesn't work. Okay? And to be quite honest with you, I have no interest in making this any more homey than it currently is. Because for whatever reason, the last 4 years of living in these apartments, I have this overwhelming feeling that any decoration, any attempt to make it more homey is just going to be a waste of time, because this is just a stepping stone on my journey to, let's say, a home. Now, am I missing out? Probably. I don't feel very homey when I'm at home, and that's okay to me. It feels temporary. It feels like a stay. Like this might as well just be a white box with a bed on the floor. I have a fucking giant PC setup in the corner of my living room, for fuck's sake. Like, that we're not really putting a lot of effort into this. But nonetheless, I think it's just a pattern that's been in my life for a while. Our decorations are relatively sparse in these parts, guys. I don't know. When I get at home, though, one day, that bad boy will be beautiful. And there will be a shit ton of plants. The walls will be white, but the decor and accessories will be greens and blues. It'll be very earthy, very homey. And I look forward to that time of my life. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but for whatever reason, it just popped into my head. When I was in high school, I was a pretty problematic kid. I had no purpose. The only thing I did was play sports, and I was damn good at them. Despite the fact that I put absolutely zero effort outside of practice to get better at any of them, I had zero ambitions for my future in any sport. I was blessed enough to be able to show up and perform extremely well. We got awards, trophies. Things were fantastic. But one day, a guy by the name of Mike, I can't remember his last name. He was a skateboarder that operated primarily out of Lincoln, Nebraska, I believe. I'd have to look up his name and remember. But he came to our high school and gave a talk about, the story of essentially becoming great, of finding your passion and pursuing it relentlessly. Mike ran into a guy at his high school who was disabled and would show up to school every morning at 6. And Mike would also be showing up very early to school to work on basketball. Every morning he'd go shoot shots in the gym. And he met this kid, and they became incredibly best friends. He took him in. While other kids would make fun of him, Mike would bring him in and be his best friend. And their friendship developed, and it inspired Mike to become the best athlete he could be, to put in more reps. Mike ultimately ended up getting a college scholarship. Mike ultimately ended up helping the homeless. And while I can't recite his speech and the message it was portraying to the greatest extent or the greatest accuracy, I remember going home and going home with the idea that I need to make a difference. So inspired, in fact, guys. At the time, my room was filled with accessories of my athletic feats, my athletic accomplishments, trophies, medals. And that day, as soon as I got home, I ripped every single medal and trophy off my walls and off my shelves. I put it in my closet, and I took a marker. And I'm not kidding here. I took a marker, and in big fucking lettering, I wrote on my ceiling above my bed, make a difference and circled it. And around make a difference, I began to create a web of things that I wanted to see for myself. Try harder, be the best you can be, all over my ceiling. Because that was the only thing that mattered. I wanted to celebrate achievement, personal achievement, spiritual achievement, whatever you want to call it. Self-development over athletic achievement. And I think that was a really beautiful time of my life. Did I really change as a person too much there? No. I was still a shitty student. I still had low ambition. My problem as a high schooler is I didn't have much purpose. I had the intelligence and I guess turns out I had the work ethic, but I didn't know where to channel it. And obviously school taught me how to channel that and such, but what a beautiful moment. I feel like I've always been susceptible to inspiration and I guess I'm seeing that manifest today in my current life. I don't know how we got on that tangent, but I think it's a beautiful story. Let's talk a little more real world, guys. Let's talk a little more real world. Now, I'm going through the process of creating a virtual sports performance company where my goal is to make high-level sports performance, sport-specific coaching available to the world through a mobile app. And of course, a key part in this app development is hiring a app developer. Someone capable of actually coding the app on a mobile software, iOS, Android. And while funding is sparse at the moment, I've begun exploring potential developers. And one of these explorations included making a post on Facebook for a developer on a Facebook group called iOS Developers. Now, after making the post, I was surprised to find within 2 days over 100 applicants. Now, here's the interesting thing. Every single applicant was from either India, Pakistan, countries almost all in that geographic region. And I was curious, why the hell are so many people over here trying to get this job? My description was terrible. I was literally like, I am not able to offer you capital right now, instant pay or salaries. I'm potentially offering business equity. It's a fitness app. Contact me if interested. Why are hundreds of people interested in this half-assed job posting? So I looked it up. iOS developers in Pakistan make an average of $7,000 US a year. Oh, I could literally make you rich in your country. $7,000 is chump change over here. It's a yearly salary over here. I don't even know what I just said. The idea that mobile app developers get around $80,000 a year here in the United States means that these developers are trying to become millionaires. They're trying to change their life. It was incredible to me. So I instantly thought, okay, obviously there's going to be some scams in here, but there has to be one person in this list that is extremely talented, that I have the potential to change their life and their family's life forever. That's my instant thought. I can pay this guy millions of rupees or whatever they're for a reasonable justified salary from investors here. Obviously, it wouldn't be that case, right? Like, we would definitely pay them relative to their region, right? There's too many issues in regards to communication, time differences, availability for us to justify paying them the same salary we would for an app developer that went to the University of Texas and lives in Austin, right? There's a give and take here. But I went through, I wanted to give it a chance, right? So I started going through applications. Started going through resumes. And I ran across a guy named Muhammad Yassin. And he was the only person out of hundreds of applicants that had a very good decent, well put together resume with experiences, and the formatting was fantastic. So I emailed him. I said, Muhammad, do you have any time in the next 2 to 3 days to talk over Zoom? And to my surprise, he actually said yes. So, yesterday at 10 a.m., 10 p.m. his time on a Saturday, we sat down over Zoom over the shittiest connection you've ever experienced in your life to talk, and it was an absolutely incredible experience. It's important to note that it was more of an interview process, right? I was trying to get an idea of the guy. But it was just such a humbling experience. Everything from his cam to the room he was in to, the conversations and his attitude towards, the money we were willing to put forth for the position. I'm just so extremely thankful that we about growing up in the United States. I think it's absolutely incredible that regardless of how good our lifestyle is, how lucky we are, we always find a way to bitch and complain about the country we live in. And it is hilarious when we compare to how other people live. I looked up this guy's university, Karachi University, on Google. And the website looked like it was created by a 12-year-old taking his first computer science class. I honestly couldn't even tell if the university was legitimate. That's how bad the website was. The classrooms looked terrible. It seriously made me second guess the level of education in which Muhammad got, regardless of his degree in computer science. It was just so rough, and just the pure lack of opportunity this man has makes me want to root for him. I always root for underdogs. Now, while I'm not really betting on the idea of hiring this guy as a developer, I am going to give him a chance. I'm going to try to stay in contact with him over the next couple months and see what he has to offer. And I told him, you're a learner. I can see that you're participating in competitions. You're applying for this. Your resume looks fantastic. You're a young man with experience. There is a world in which we bring you onto this project and you make the money beyond your wildest dreams. There is a world. Now, is that world likely? No. But it's possible. If you can show me you're an active learner, you show me that you want this, show me that you have the skills capable of bringing to life what we propose, then yeah, it's a possibility. And in the meantime, while I'm doing this, connections are cutting out. Can barely fucking hear him talk. It's just shining in my head. It's just like a bright light shining like this is not possible. Can you imagine this guy trying to work with a development team, a UI design? It was rough, but I'm going to explore it. It was just a very humbling experience, guys. We are very fortunate for the world that we live in. Speaking about the United States, bitching and complaining, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial came to a conclusion and he was found guilty on all charges. I told you guys last week this case was dead. Not from a political point of view or whether or not what he did was right, but from the point of view of the based on the laws, the line that was walked here is just too close. You cannot prove guilt beyond any reasonable doubt. There's always going to be reasonable doubt in this case, because things were walked in a line. You can defend what degree Kyle Rittenhouse defended himself. Regardless, he did defend himself. He had people attacking him. Now, yeah, they didn't have guns, and you can argue his life wasn't at risk, but that's not how the law works. Okay, let's be honest. There was no case from the beginning here. We shouldn't be surprised, but that doesn't mean we can't be frustrated. Okay? Me personally, I look at this and just go, what the fuck is going on? Okay? How is it possible for a 17-year-old man to take a gun to a different state alone and go to a violent protest? How is that possible? That should not be legal. Okay? I want to give you guys some key notes here. All right, the reason that Kyle Rittenhouse's gun was not illegal, or that process of him holding that gun wasn't illegal, it was completely legal. He was in in line with all laws to be holding that gun out in public at a protest. Why? Because his gun was a certain length, which means that his gun was deemed a hunting rifle. Now, 17-year-olds are allowed to hold and possess hunting rifles. Why? So they can go hunting with their families. Okay? So they can go hunt. All right, so maybe we should tweak this law a little bit so it can't be weaponized or manipulated into people going out in public with assault rifles. Okay, again, I don't think the jury was wrong here. I think based on the evidence and based on the laws, they made the correct decision. But do I think it's right? Absolutely not. There should be some reprimands for these decisions. This is terrible fucking decision making by this young man. I think it's ridiculous that he didn't get charged with at least a misdemeanor or something. I think it's unfortunate. Again, is it within the bounds of the legal system? Maybe not. Okay, maybe legally he shouldn't have been charged with anything, and I'm okay with that. But the fact that this is going unscathed is fucking bad, guys. I truly believe that it sends a terrible fucking message. It just paints this picture that we're in the wild, wild west. There is no way that this doesn't spark like incredibly dangerous thoughts by gun owners, young gun owners that aren't exactly in the best mental space for decision making. I'm almost 100% going to assume that gun possession at riots is going to increase, right? Because I can shoot anybody and it doesn't matter. I just think it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and it shines a bright light on some legal issues that we have in this country that I think need to be fixed. Again, I'm not against possessions of guns. I'm not against, concealed carries. That's fine with me. I live in probably one of the highest concealed carry rate states in the United States. It doesn't bother me at all. I never notice it. But this is too much. This is absolutely too much. Something needs to be figured out here. I don't know what we can do. There wasn't a case here, but holy shit, this country is weird. This country is fucked up, guys. I don't know what to do about it. Now, obviously, there's this huge political battle, left, right, Democrats, Republicans, gun rights. I mean, let's just be honest, okay? If you deny the fact that there was a case here, I think you're just you're in denial. I think you're allowed to deny whether or not this process was justified or not justified, was morally correct, if it was right, if it's not fucked up. I think you're good to question that. But the legality of it's all black and white, right? And when people can't come to a clear decision on guilt, it's dead in the water. And I think that's exactly what we have here. I don't know what else to say. I think our country is just fucking crazy, and not in a bad way. I don't mean to say the things negatively. I would try to abstain here from talking shit on our country when am interviewing a mobile app developer from Pakistan that can barely get an internet connection and lives in a shitty ass room because he can't find a job, and when he does, it only pays him $7,000 a year. I don't know. I think it's important to keep perspective. Be thankful, but also be critical. On a lighter note, guys, you guys know my perspective on listening and consuming to music. Listening to and consuming music. Especially when we're talking about albums from our favorite artist. I think it's extremely important to listen to albums start to finish, because that's how the album was created. That's how the artist envisioned. And more often than not, when you're actually dealing with a high-end, or I guess, how do I say this? Passionate artist. There we go. When you're dealing with a passionate artist, the album flows. Songs flow one into another. They tell a story. And I've been talking about this for years now. But finally, we have some real action being taken in the music industry in light of this. And that is Adele is requested from Spotify that they quite literally remove the shuffle button from her album 30. That's right. If you're listening to Adele's album, you're not going to be able to turn on shuffle, throw your phone down, and listen to any random song. You're going to be forced to listen to it start to finish how it should be consumed. Now, of course, there's a way around this. You just open up the phone and tap song 13, 12, 5, 4. You're more than welcome to do this, but I think this is the move. This should be the industry standard. Shuffle should not be allowed on albums. I agree. I absolutely agree. Good for you, Adele. This is absolutely beautiful. And the fact that she just goes up to Spotify and says, "Hey, if you don't remove shuffle, we're not doing this." I think that is just such an alpha Chad move. I think that's freaking awesome, man. Yeah, that's how albums should be listened to. And if you have a favorite artist and you haven't listened to their album start to finish, I highly suggest it. It goes a long way. I used to do this a bunch with Kid Cudi's Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying album. Done this with majority of Drake's recent albums. Of course, Kendrick's Humble album. I mean, there's just so much value to it. There is. There really is. And if I was an artist and I was putting years and years into a single album, into a story, that's how I would want you to consume it as well. Okay, that's exactly what I would want from you guys as well. Unfortunately, Joe Exotic, our man, the hero from the early COVID days, the man that brought us entertainment from, across state lines, across nations, that brought the world together against Carol Baskin. Okay, the man, the myth, the legend is battling cancer right now. Hang in there, Joe. Hang in there, Joe. Keep doing your thing, man. I don't know too much about it, and to be quite honest, I'm not going to dive too far in, but absolutely crazy. Part of me wonders if any of his lifestyle choices, influence that. I'm sure the stress of being around gigantic, threatening, deadly cats all day probably didn't help too much, but who knows? Let's not make any assumptions here. Life for me is good right now, guys. Life for me is good. The biggest problem right now, the biggest struggle is patience. When I zoom the lens out, it's very clear that I'm on the right path. I'm working hard. I'm doing things that normal people aren't doing. And I'm chasing my dream. I'm developing a virtual company that I believe can be wildly successful. I'm doing all the right things. But every now and then, like last night, things just creep up. Things just creep up a little bit. We do suffer a little bit from isolation. And that's okay. That's part of the gig. That's part of the journey. And it will end someday. We'll get past it. But yeah, we're getting through. Life is good right now, okay? I want to be very clear here. This weekend's been a little goofy for me. I've been in a little bit of the dumps. I could be battling some type of underlying sickness right now. Some underlying cold. And that could be dragging down my mood, fucking up my mental chemical balances. While the weekend's been rough, life is good. I wake up with purpose, and that's really all I can ask for. I know exactly what I'm going to do when I wake up, and I don't have enough time in one day to get it done. And it repeats over and over. And this is the happiest that I can be as a person. Regardless of income, regardless of anything else. It's just waking up with a purpose every day and not having a question whether or not what I'm going to be doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm working towards. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm very thankful for that. Things are coming along very well. My proposal is about 60 pages long right now. About 27 pages of your classic business proposal type of information and content. And the other rest is just the brains of the operation. So it's coming along, guys. And I truly believe still today that this thing can be wildly successful. If I get enough money, if I talk to the right people, get some investors in, hire the right developers, UI designers, marketing directors. We're sitting on $1 million idea. And I truly fucking believe that, guys. All right. A little slow episode today. I'm in a weird headspace this weekend. I am. But things are going good. Things are going good. Things are looking up. Ultimately, right now, the life we live these last couple of years and the next couple of years are all being donated to my future self. My 30-year-old, 35-year-old self. And holy shit, guys, I hope it pays off. Today, these gloomy weather set a nice little lighting for the podcast. Set a nice little mood for the podcast. Chill, relaxed, cozy. I almost even hope that this podcast finds you in some gloomy weather yourself. Because I think there will be a nice little connection there with the mood. But that might be a little far reach. All right. 100 episodes, guys. It feels like we just started Interplanetary Monkeys, and we've got a long, long, long time to go. Upgrades will come in the future. We're in no rush. Clothing, t-shirts, apparel will come in the future. There's no rush. I want to focus on the business right now. I'm still going to be here every week without question, but the business is my primary focus at the moment. And once this bad boy gets established over the next 2-3 years, who's to say that we don't start meeting some people that are interesting? Who's to say that IP Monkeys doesn't turn into an interview podcast? Who knows, guys? We're pliable. We're flexible. When we are not set in our ways, the possibilities are endless. And the biggest mistake I've made in the last 4 years of my life is try to predict how the next year, 2 years is going to look. Because it never works out. So we'll see, guys. We're floating along. We're riding the boat. And we're taking the waves as they come, all right? All right. Happy 100 episodes. It's been a journey. If you've been here from the beginning, much love. I hope you found value in the podcast here and there. All right. Hope everyone's doing well. Battle through if you're on a low and enjoy it if you're on a high. The roller coaster of life. It can be shitty. It can be beautiful, but it is a gift. All right. All right. This is under Klein. Episode 100. 100 straight Monday releases. That's consistency, baby. I'll see you guys. You'll hear from me next week. Peace.